down last night 4-2 after Robert Suarez gave up a 2-run blast in the 9th inning. They'll be back tonight. Rare Wednesday night game at 5:40. Padres currently minus 150 on the money line against the Reds. Andrew Abbott will be going for Cincinnati, while Nick Pivetta will be going for the Pods. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio, get an extra 5% off.
Yeah, welcome in. It's San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long. We'll be with you till 2 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then. We got a busy one today on an NFL Week 2 on a Wednesday, which means there's not a whole lot of NFL news to talk about, but we will get into what is there. We're going to talk a lot about the Padres game from last night and how much more importance that put on tonight's game for San Diego. And we do have one guest coming up on the show today, Stan Lazinski. He is the owner, operator, CEO of DynastyPriceCheck.com. He's a fantasy football expert. So if you want to get some questions in for Stan, who's going to be coming up at 1:30 today, hit us up on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. We do have a ticket giveaway for you today. Billy Idol and Joan Jett on September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater that we will get to very soon. Tickets and info on that at Ticketmaster.com. But we're going to start off with the Padres today, who lose last night 4-2 to the Cincinnati Reds, who are chasing them in the wild card. Padres, we feel like, will be on strong footing in terms of the wild card, in terms of the postseason, if they were to take care of the business against the Reds this series, meaning winning the series. Well, they got one more opportunity to do that coming up today at 5:40 tonight, and they're going to need it because last night, man, the power stays away. Manny Machado takes another offer. Padres give up the game late after tying the game early. Rough watch last night for the San Diego Padres, outside of one absolutely spectacular moment where Fernando Tatis Jr. robbed another home run. That dude is a platinum glover out in right field. But Sammy, rough watch for the Pods last night.
Yeah, it was disappointing. It was disappointing because it's, I think the easy thing for a lot of people I've seen on Twitter today, or X, whatever the hell you call it, is people going after Robert Suarez. I get it. It's people are recency of the moment and they see what happens in the 9th inning, but this is not on Robert Suarez.
Nope.
Last night is not. It's easy. The certified patient is the bullpen arm when they give it up. Robert Suarez, if you look at the entire season, because you've had Ramon Laureano come over at the deadline, Ryan O'Hearn, some really talented guys. But if we look at the whole season for the Padres, who's been the MVP, Kevin Acee said it on our show yesterday, you'd probably say Robert Suarez because he's been probably the most surefire guy going through most of the year. I know he struggled recently last night. A couple weeks ago, gave up that blast to Mookie Betts late in the game. I believe that was in the 8th inning, and had a few struggles since then. But this comes down to the offense. Like at the end of the day, 2 runs against a team that is serviceable. The Reds aren't some great team, but they're fighting to get in the playoffs. They have some talent. Gavin Lux, Ellie De La Cruz. This is not a team devoid of talent. And the offense is just, it's anemic. There's nothing there. They've been outslugged in the first 2 games, despite winning on Monday. The Reds have 5 home runs over the first 2 games. And the Padres, in a ballpark that features Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, all these big sluggers for the Padres are not coming through. So I think it's easy to go after the bullpen today. But when you're expecting the bullpen to be perfect every single time out, because that's how you built this team, if the other parts don't step up, mainly starting pitching and hitting was the problem last night, this is what happens.
And by the way, against a pitcher in Littell who had given up more home runs per appearance than any other pitcher in baseball this year.
Right. This is not Paul Skeens.
No. So the pitcher you're going up against gives up a lot of power, and the Padres can't provide any power last night. And I look to Manny Machado again, and we'll get into his numbers from last night. But let's put it this way. San Diego, 3 hits last night. Cincinnati, 5 hits last night. Cincinnati, 4 runs scored. Padres, 2 runs scored. All of Cincinnati's runs scored off of home runs. So it's not like we can blame the Marine layer. Am I right? Like, the ball is leaving the ballpark. It's just not the Padres who are doing it. And it's frustrating to watch, especially when all of a sudden you're in some sort of race in the wild card. Let's get into some of Manny's numbers from last night, because I think when you look at public enemy number 1, you're right, Sammy. A lot of people online are going to Robert Suarez for giving up the home run at the end. But can we expect a little more out of Manny Machado, who's making the majority of the money on this team, of Manny Machado, who is on his way to a Hall of Fame career? 0 for 4 again last night. That's the last 2 nights. He's hitting 199 with a 566 OPS in 36 games since August 1st, batting 148 with a 450 OPS over the past 15 games, which include 3 at Coors Field. So you got 3 games at the easiest place to hit the baseball in all of Major League Baseball, and Manny did nothing. He's really done nothing over the last month. And usually at this time of year, Manny Machado is fantastic. Kevin Acee has a graph up of every year from 2020 until right now of the last 30 or so games of the season. And the numbers for Manny Machado are astounding. They really are. He's up over 300. His slugging percentage is way up there. He's hitting home runs like crazy. And it's just not what we've seen from Manny Machado this year. Now, can the Padres overcome it? Absolutely. I'd say they're still with pretty strong footing right now in the postseason race. And maybe there's time for Manny to turn it around. I think there's 17 games left in the season. But that needs to hit now.
Well, right. It needs to start. And it totally can. I agree with you, Fletch. It can hit. We've seen it hit before. We've seen Manny Machado be a fantastic player. Obviously, Fernando Tatis Jr. But if we're going off one game last night, Jackson Merrill has 2 hits. Fantastic.
It's good to see Jackson swinging the bat well again. And
Ryan O'Hearn had
last night. Awesome.
Ryan O'Hearn has 1. Everyone else, over. Why is Ryan O'Hearn and Jackson Merrill last night? I know Jackson Merrill's been struggling. The only guys producing. And it's great seeing Fernando get the home run robbery. It's great. It's the 4th of his for the year, most in Major League Baseball. But at some point, we got to see these guys hit. And it puts a lot of pressure on tonight because, again, I think the Padres in the playoffs, if I was a betting man, I think that they would be there, especially with the Mets flailing. They've lost 4 straight, sitting in that last wild card spot. But the Giants are on a tear. They're only 2 games back of the wild card. Now, luckily for the Padres have played well against the Giants this year and have a tiebreaker, which could be a really big deal down the stretch. But this Reds game tonight, if they win this with Nick Pivetta on the mound, this is your ace going for the postseason. I think you go, okay, I feel pretty good about the Padres in the postseason. If they lose tonight and you give the Reds life in this thing, it just gets hairy for the next 2 weeks, and you lost a game of the Dodgers. So it was very frustrating last night watching baseball.
Now, I got a couple of texts last night from a couple different people who were listening to the show yesterday who were watching the game last night, and I noticed something as well. Essentially, as soon as the Padres finished up with the 5th inning of baseball, did you notice the same thing, Sammy?
Yes.
Michael King was pretty good.
He was very good.
And I think you're looking at that. If you're a Padres fan, you got to be smiling. That was our biggest storyline going into the game. And we're pissed off about the offense today. But Michael King, outside of 2 pitches, looked really good last night. And he did go 5 innings, which meant long shots was busted.
Yeah, Mike Schilt screwed the parlay for
our buddy
everyone.
Rich McGuire sent me a video of the moment that Mike Schilt got the 15th out. And he said to share that with you, Sammy. So here I am sharing that with
Rich,
you.
You're the best, man. You're the best.
Michael King getting the 15th out last night, screwing up long shots for us. The standings before we get to the big 3, if you're curious, Padres are at 79 and 66. They're now 2 games back of the Dodgers, which feels like with 17 left to go. I don't know. Anything can happen. Dodgers haven't been good either, but it feels like the division's kind of
the only shot for the Padres is, so they're really 3 games back. Still lost tiebreaker.
Right.
The only shot for the Padres is that the Dodgers play the Phillies Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they play the Giants Thursday through Sunday next week.
Giants are on a tear right now. So
it's kind of weird who you'd be rooting for. If the Padres can create a little distance, you'd root for the Giants to try to get the division. But if the Giants are on your tail, it's probably better if the Dodgers win.
Padres are 3 games up on the Mets right now, who hold that final wild card spot. Giants just 2 games back of the Mets. So we'll see. Again, feel pretty good about where the Padres are in terms of making the postseason, but don't feel good about how they're getting there. A win tonight would certainly help. Sammy, let's get to the big 3 of hour number 1. Sammy Long takes us through the top stories in the world of sports. It's a little sprinkling of everything. Sammy, let's smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The big 3.
If you would like to watch the show, couple ways for you to do it. On X, at Fletch and Sammy. Find us there. Give us a follow. On YouTube, at San Diego Sports 760. That stays live from noon to 6 every single day. John and Jim take it over right after we do. Sammy, where are we starting?
All right, let's head to the NBA. There was a rule change that could trickle down possibly to college basketball. We'll see. So per Shams as of this morning. So end of quarter heaves at the end of whatever quarter it is has been a hotly contested thing kind of all of basketball. Some guys are all for the team and want to throw the ball up in the air and try to make a Hail Mary. Some guys don't want to mess up their stats. So as of the NBA this morning, end of quarter heaves won't be counted as a missed field goal for a player. So it won't go against someone's stats if they throw the ball up from over half court. Do we like this rule? Do we think this is BS? What do you think?
Who cares? This is a very baseball thing to do, by the way, for the old guys who will sit there and say, oh, well, Wilt Chamberlain, he had end of quarter heaves and it affected his stats, so it needs to affect stats forever. Sure, fine. Let's take it off the stat board. It's not a real thing anyways. Now, question, if you make the shot does it count as a make
yes.
for you?
Yeah.
It's only if you miss it that it doesn't affect your field goal.
Yeah, because if you make it, you've scored a basket.
Now, the legitimacy of this comes into play where contract negotiations are. And if you figure, if if you're Steph Curry, who seems to have maybe one every 2 games, right, where he throws one from beyond half court. So one every 2 games, let's say that over the course of an NBA season, you're looking at maybe 40 half court heaves. Well, if you add 40 missed shots at the end of the year, that could affect it by 2 or 3 percentage points when he goes to contract renegotiations, using Steph as an example. So that's the legitimacy of it. But I do think this is kind of in the who cares category.
Well, I think it matters for guys who, like your Steph Currys, don't care. They don't care if their field goal percentage goes down because Steph Curry is Steph Curry, and he's going to be making all of his money regardless of whether he misses a half-court shot or not. I think it comes into play a little bit, and Rich Hornberger has actually talked about this in the NFL, is, sometimes teams will ask you to play a certain way. Maybe you don't get the stats that they take away your goal line touches, but they're going to make you right in the offseason. Now, this is a minuscule thing. I think it's sad that some players have not taken half-court shots because they don't want to mess up their field goal percentage. You think you'd be all about the team. But then I guess I do get it. My contract's on the line, and I'm a fringe player. I'm off the bench, and people who maybe didn't watch the game look at the box score after and go, he had 2 half-court shots because it was the end of the quarter. His field goal percentage sucks. I'm interested to see if this trickles down. I'm curious with the stats because, some people over the years, basketball is a very stat-oriented sport. I wonder if some people get frustrated with this, but I'm curious if it sticks or not. Let's say to the NFL. Travis Hunter expected to get more snaps on defense week 2 against the Bengals. I believe he only played 6 snaps on defense last week. Do we like that?
The one that's being highlighted is the one where he did switch over to defense, and it seemed like he was very lazy on defense. Now, that's the one that's being published everywhere. That's the one I've seen. Maybe it was better with the other 5 snaps, but the one I saw, he was essentially playing off coverage and allowed his dude to have a little 5-yard slant route for a first down. And so you look at it, and you're like, well, is he tired from the amount of times he's getting on offense? And then he switches over to defense, and he's a little out of gas, so he's not ready to go for that route. I don't think that's who Travis Hunter is. That's what the media is wanting you to think right now.
Yeah, I think that's.
I like that he's going to get more reps. I want to see this. It's something we haven't seen before. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm curious to see how it looks.
Well, I'm curious if this is a matchup play thing, because you look at Cincinnati, what do they do well? They have a great quarterback and great receivers. So if you're the Jags, whose weakness is on defense, they got some holes there. You would like to.
Who do you match him up with? Chase or Higgins?
I'd give him Chase. Well, especially because of the way he's built. Chase, even though he's a better receiver than Higgins. Higgins is such a weird matchup play because he is so much bigger. He's kind of in the Mike Williams mold, except better. And like Travis Hunter's kind of a flimsy corner. He's really, really talented. I would stick him on Chase. I'd throw him in the fire. This does feel like a game that.
Would you hurt your offense to have him more on defense against Cincy?
Yes, because the Bengals defense is not good. I'm taking out last week. I know they had a good performance, but the Browns offense with Joe Flacco is terrible. And you do have Brian Thomas Jr. there. Brian Thomas Jr. is emerging as a really top receiver in this league. I think I'd take my chances on offense and try to stick him on defense. Obviously, this is how the game plays out. If you're losing by 14 points, then I switch him to offense because you got to try to come back. But it's interesting to see if this is a matchup-based thing or if you're playing a team that's more run-heavy. Let's say you're playing the Chargers. Maybe I would play him more on offense because the corners probably are less important in that game than a defensive lineman or a linebacker.
Yeah, I also wonder what the flexibility is for Liam Cohen. Like if it is a situation where, okay, well, we're planning on heading into the week, he's going to be a defensive player this week for the majority of the time. We'll have a couple packages for him on offense, but then you get down 14-0 early in the game. You're like, crap, we need another weapon. We need him to come back over to offense. Like, is that all game planned in, or is it going to be flexible enough to where you can switch him midway through? It's just all these game plans from all these different head coaches are pretty stringent, at least for the first half usually, and then you make your big adjustments in the second half. I'm curious to see how they use him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because he is such a unique player.
First year as a head coach, they're like, here, do all this.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to make because he's going to get asked about it if they're losing by a lot.
Duval, baby.
that presser was.
We got time for one more.
All right, let's head back to Major League Baseball. So the Giants are making a run, 2 games back of the Mets for that last wild card spot. The Mets have lost 4 straight games. Cincinnati, we've seen here in San Diego the last 2 nights. They are 3 games back of the Mets for the final spot. Looking at a big picture, let's just assume right now that the Brewers and the Phillies are going to get the buys. That could change. The Dodgers could catch the Phillies. The Padres could maybe catch the Phillies. But let's assume those two. What matchup would you think you would like to avoid for the Padres week 1, or excuse me, opening in the wild card round, and then have week 1 would be a good matchup for them?
So it's all about how the Padres are built right now, and they are built with a lack of power and a great bullpen. So what I would look to is a team that's not going to hit a ton of home runs, because that's the one thing that completely neutralizes a great bullpen is one swing of the bat. Stay the hell away from the Mets is the first thing I would say. They got power up and down through that lineup. The Giants, who at the beginning of the year couldn't hit whatsoever, all of a sudden at the end of the year, now they were having this huge power surge. Rafael Devers is hitting the ball out of the park like crazy. I don't know what the right answer is. I would almost feel comfortable playing against the Brewers or the Cubs. But again, it's nobody. I want to avoid the Mets for sure, because the Mets, you feel like they just need one or two guys to start hitting, and then all of a sudden they're putting up 6 runs a game.
The Mets are a team that, despite them losing recently, and I wouldn't necessarily want to play them to that point.
They just got power.
Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Vientos in that lineup. They got a lot of guys that just up and down and could get hot at any time. The Dodgers are interesting because the rotation for the Dodgers has been fantastic recently. They've been going way long in games. MSG had a really big performance. Tyler Glasnow the other night. Yoshinobu Yamamoto over the weekend.
Now, wouldn't you want the Dodgers in a shorter series rather than a longer series?
Yes. Yes, 100%, because the bullpen is the major question for the Dodgers. That's what you look at for the Dodgers and go, that's a big question
mark. Because they have starting pitching to carry you through a 5 or 7 game series.
Yeah, the Dodgers are hoping that they take you 7 games, because overall they're thinking that their starting rotation, even if they blow a game or two, is going to be better than yours. The Cubs are interesting, despite them being able to hit a lot better than the Padres recently. Their bullpen is not it. And I do think that if the Padres were able to jump out to a little bit of a lead early in some of these games, they could shut down the Cubs late, because they could get to the Cubs late. Obviously, the Giants and the Reds are a tier below, I believe, but the Giants are playing good baseball right now, except the Padres have played them well over the course of the season. The Reds feel limited to me. I don't, despite them winning last night in San Diego, I don't really see them going on a stretch, but the Giants are interesting. If the Giants snuck in and played the Dodgers in the first round or the Padres, like, I would favor the Padres or the Dodgers, but at the same time, you're talking about an NL West competition who know each other super well. That's something I would probably want to stay away from.
Get your start, sit, fantasy football questions in on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. We do have a fantasy expert joining the show coming up at 1:30. Take a quick break right here. Let's continue this Padres conversation coming up next, because I think we saw a lot from Michael King yesterday, and the postseason is getting interesting. Lots of scenarios to play out. We'll get back to the NFL in just a little bit. Take a quick break here. You're listening to San Diego Sports 760 on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760, and coming up tonight, 6 o'clock, it's SDFC Midweek Live here from the head coach, Mikey Varis, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Find out the latest club and MLS information. SDFC Midweek Live tonight at 6 right here on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. I'm sure we've all seen it at this point, but last night, in the midst of the game between the Padres and the Reds, Manny Machado makes his way back to the Padres dugout after another fruitless at-bat. Slamming his bat all around, really pissed off, really fired up. I personally love these videos more than just about anything. Like you think about the David Ortiz losing his absolute S on a Gatorade cooler, different situation where guys have thrown phones and stuff. It's awesome when this happens. But for Manny Machado, it's indicative of what's been going on over the last month. It's indicative of how Padre fans have felt watching Manny Machado play. I think it's kind of good to see him actually let some of this out eventually. Now let's see if he can turn it around on the field and start taking out some passion on the ball.
Right. Well, I mean, he needs to. And there's been a lot the last few weeks, ever since it kind of started with that Dodger series up in Los Angeles. You know, testy with the media a little bit. Kevin
ignoring the media.
Kevin Acey was on our show, and I'm sorry, it may not be popular in this town. I think, you know, Manny Machado makes enough money to where he needs to answer questions when he doesn't play well, and we're all rooting for Manny Machado. We want Manny Machado to do well, and we know that he can carry this team a long ways because they've had 3 postseason berths when he's been here. But that ESPN article really summed it up. The Padres are not going to do anything in the playoffs unless Machado and Tatis start playing like the guys that they can be. And that's the good thing for the Padres is sometimes like even a team like the Brewers, who right now they're in a higher standing than the Padres are. But sometimes the big concern with the Brewers is you look at them and go, who are some of these guys? And they've made a name for themselves this year. But in the postseason, when things get tight and you're looking over at Fernando Tatis Jr., you're looking over at Shohei Ohtani or Bryce Harper, are you going to be able to match that and play better? The Padres have guys that have been there. They have guys who have the ability to put on a show in the postseason. And, you know, I get Manny Machado being frustrated with himself because, you know, the team's been counting on him a lot more recently, and they need him to break out of the slump fast because the playoffs are 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I think back to moments in that 2020 season, which feels like a lifetime ago, but the shortened season because of COVID, there was a time where Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. were both red hot at the same time. And that team was unbeatable when that was happening. And if they can get back to that, they might be unbeatable again this year. Manny Machado last night after the game had a couple of quotes that I find a little troubling personally. Quote, "It sucks that it's happening at this moment, but it's part of the game. As long as we're winning games and we're in good spot, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. My stats don't matter. It's about winning ball games at the end of the day. So if I can contribute, not doing much right now to do it, but as long as we win games, it's all that matters." See, that is the leader quote, right? That is what, if you put into ChatGPT, said, I'm a leader of a team, I'm struggling right now, what should I say? That's probably what ChatGPT would give you back according to media training, according to PR training. However, from Manny Machado, unfortunately, it's just a bold-faced lie because his stats absolutely do matter. In fact, there's a direct correlation for Manny Machado when he's playing well to the Padres winning. And I know we kind of lump Fernando Tatis Jr. in with him in this, but remember, there's a postseason run without Fernando Tatis Jr. And Manny Machado was the one who carried them all the way. So you really look at it, Manny Machado, you're pretty freaking important, dude. And your stats absolutely do matter, and they do contribute to winning games. And by the way, this quote is coming off a loss.
Well, that's what I was going to get to.
You didn't win.
The quote would be different if you're coming off a 10-game winning streak and Manny Machado is not playing well, and you go, listen, I need to get my act together, but it's nice that the guys around me are stepping up. The problem is the guys around him or down the lineup are stepping up. They haven't been winning. They beat the Rockies 2 or 3 games. It's great. We'll see if they win the Red Series tonight. Before that, they had lost multiple series in a row. So it's yes, his stats completely do matter. I get what he's trying to say. He's trying to gas up the rest of the team. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, dude, your contract is not. If Gavin Sheets doesn't come through for the Padres, at the end of the day, it sucks. But we look at Gavin Sheets and go, he's not being paid like a superstar.
And he has been coming through.
And he has. When you're making all the money, Josh Allen can't go to the media and go, guys, I'm not playing well.
My stats don't matter.
My stats don't matter. Yeah, they do, because you're getting paid to be the franchise. You're the guy that they look at why the Buffalo Bills can be scary. Same with Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, whoever it is, you're the guy that takes the fall. And that's not always fair to that player. Sometimes defenses have let great quarterbacks down, and quarterbacks got to go up to the presser and take blame for it. But it is an interesting quote, especially considering how poorly he's been playing recently.
858. I saw no hugs last night. That's why the Padres lost. Look, Fernando
Mike still
Tatis Jr.
loves himself some hugs.
Just sweaty and oily, his six-pack rippling, going in for Mike Schilt for a big old bear hug that lasted
people on their lunch break, Fletch.
20 seconds. I was eating dinner when I saw that hug, Sammy, and guess what? It didn't help. 619, Giants play Dodgers 7 times over the next 17, so they're done. Well, interesting text. Hour number 2, we're going to spend some time looking forward at some of the schedules between teams that are in this National League wildcard race and who you root for in those situations, because that has a lot of impact. And so we'll do that in hour number 2. Coming up next, let's get into some NFL talk. We got our first look at week 2 of the NFL season of this year. You're going to hear it coming up next, along with some Billy Idol tickets on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Padres will look to win the series against the Cincinnati Reds tonight. After losing last night, the game will be at 5:40, and Nick Pivetta will be on the mound. The Padres are currently minus 150 on the money line. In the NBA, some big changes coming. If you shoot a half-court shot at the end of a quarter or a half, it will not go against your field goal percentage per Shams Charania. When you hear that a small blizzard tree is just 85 cents with a $1 purchase in the DQ app. You might just feel like you're dreaming. You're not. Hurry and get your small blizzard treat for just 85 cents with a $1 purchase when you sign up for DQ Rewards, only at participating locations.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. We got a fantasy football expert joining the show coming up at 1:30 today. If you want to check out his website, it is dynastypricecheck.com. His name is Stan Lazinski. He's going to be joining us coming up at 1:30. So if you have any start, sit questions for week 2 of the NFL season, get them in on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. We will ask our fantasy expert for you. All right, let's get into this in the NFL. We'll get back to the Padres coming up in just a little bit. We got long shots coming up at 12:45. Billy Idol tickets coming up within the next 7 minutes, so stay tuned. In terms of football week 2, we got plenty of teams, half the league actually, if I'm doing my math correctly, who are 1-0 right now. But the question is, what 1-0 teams are you most concerned about? And I think if we had to power rank those teams, you would find the Denver Broncos as number 1 on there as a 1-0 team who you are most concerned about heading into the rest of this NFL season. And the reason I say the Denver Broncos is because, man, people were high on them coming into this year. Man, people thought Bo Nix was the reincarnation of Drew Brees and that this offense would kick into the next level as we get to this season. I watched most of that Denver Broncos game in week 1, and I'll tell you, there was nothing special jumping off except for the defense, which we already knew was going to be elite coming into this year. But you look offensively, Bo Nix looked like a rookie. He looked uncomfortable. He had the fumble that was bad, a couple interceptions that were bad. I'm telling you, Denver feels like an 0-1 team that got kind of lucky against one of the worst rosters in NFL in week 1.
Well, and I mean, we can always play the what if game, all that kind of stuff. But like, I watched a lot of the games well. In Denver, they didn't make the completions. They won. They're 1-0. But Cam Ward, people look at his stats and go, oh, he sucked in his debut.
No, Cam Ward was awesome.
He got better as the game went on.
And Denver's defense is stifling.
It is stifling. And Calvin really dropped multiple seam routes over. There was like 3 catches that should have been made on 3 straight plays on that final drive of that game that didn't happen for them. Denver, yeah, because of the hype. I'm not out on Denver. Denver's defense is very good. I just think people are a little bit of the prisoner in the moment from what they saw last year. They saw Bo Nix in that Cincinnati game where Cincinnati won and they needed the Chiefs to beat the Broncos the next week to get in the playoffs. It was an electric game. The Bengals ended up winning. But Bo Nix had that bomb to Marvin Mims. People remember that. I think they go, oh, the Broncos going to the Super Bowl. They have not beat elite competition. They lost to the Chiefs twice last year. They lost to the Chargers twice. They lost to the Steelers. They lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Texans. Any team that was above 500, they lost to. So I think there's some concern there.
Here's a fun thought exercise with the Denver Broncos. Imagine them in that Sunday night football game against either the Bills or the Ravens. And what do? Because that's what people have said. People have said Denver is a dark horse Super Bowl team this year. Well, to get there, you would probably have to either go through the Bills or the Ravens at the very least, not even talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Imagine what Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos would have done in one of those games against either the Bills or the Ravens. I think they get their absolute teeth kicked in.
Yeah, I just Bo Nix seemed a little in over his head, and we'll see. Again, the Titans were not playing with a lot of pressure in that game, but I didn't love what I saw from Denver. I think Cincy was alarming in terms of the way they won that game.
The one thing they're supposed to have is offense.
And the biggest concern is, like, you could look at it and go, okay, well, the defense played well. The offensive line was terrible, and that was a real reason why they couldn't score much in that game. I get it, Myles Garrett's on Cleveland, but Cleveland is not a very good team. They're going to be going up against elite pass rushers throughout the season in their own division with Pittsburgh. Baltimore's there, so they looked a little off to me. You go down the list.
I'll throw the Steelers out there. Like, the Steelers offensively looked incredible, but that's not what the Steelers were known for coming into this season. It was supposed to be a stifling defense that added Jalen Ramsey, that has TJ Watt, that has this great pass rush.
But they did come up with the big play at the end.
Of course they did. And that fumble changed the game. That won them the game 100%. But they still allowed, was it 39, 40 points to the New York Jets?
32.
32. Are you sure? I thought it was 40.
I don't think they allowed for it. We can look that up. But like, in terms of, they didn't
32.
look.
But still, 32 points to Justin Fields quarterbacking the team is a little alarming for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who pride themselves on defense.
I'm not worried about Pittsburgh because if defense is the problem for Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin then will get that figured out. They have a lot of new faces back there. Jalen Ramsey, Minka Fitzpatrick is gone. I get it. They kind of got ate up, but we also got to remember Justin Fields knows this team too. He played scout team after he got benched last year against this entire defense for a whole season. So just like Aaron Rodgers had something to prove, and Aaron Rodgers is the bigger name than Justin Fields wanted something to prove too. And I think the guy stepped up, and the Jets offense does have a lot of pieces with it. Breece Hall had a nice day. So I see where you're going with that. Your Niners because of injuries.
Oh yeah,
I guess
I'm definitely concerned about the 49ers. I'd throw the Rams on that list as well.
The Rams were odd because the offense was so bad. Now the defense is one of the youngest in football and should probably only continue to get better.
But what's odd about the Rams offense is they were moving the football. Like it was getting down the field. It's like they just had no killer instinct. They get into that kind of no man's land where you're out of field goal range, but you're not quite in go for it territory. And they would just have to punt every time. It was confusing because Puka Nacua had a good game.
Right, and Adams caught that bomb on the sideline.
Kyron Williams looked good too, but they just didn't really get past the point where they needed to.
It's interesting when you look at like Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford. They're the old guard, right? Like how the quarterbacks play. They don't move a lot. The Aaron Rodgers certainly couldn't move out of the pocket despite him having a great game with 4 touchdowns. And Matthew Stafford, it's like with a back injury, it's weird watching teams like the Rams and Steelers play when we're so used to seeing Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, these guys that just get out of the pocket and can move. Jalen Hurts, who was ate up the Cowboys rushing the other night. It's odd. It's kind of different. It's like old school offense watching them play. I think the Rams, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, but the offense certainly has to get better in that regard.
619. The 49ers look like the 0-1 team that got lucky, Fletch, so maybe chill on the Broncos week 1. 858 San Fran by far. Look, I get it. The Niners, I'm worried about them more than you. I promise you that. After week 1, they are definitely a 1-0 team that looks like worrisome. We'll see what happens with the injuries later this week. We do have a fantasy expert. Some questions are starting to pile up on the text line. Keep them coming in. 70470. Start your message with team. Lots of Cortland Sutton questions. And that kind of comes off of our Denver Broncos conversation.
Well, and they were in our long shots.
Right. And preseason, we looked at Cortland Sutton as being a potential 1,200-yard receiver this year with Bo Nix really taking that next step. And look, there's plenty of time to do so. But it's not like they inspired a bunch of confidence after week 1 with that connection with the Denver Broncos whole offense.
We can maybe get into this a little bit later as well, but ties into with Cortland Sutton, who his quarterback is. What like second year quarterback, like Caleb Williams obviously has the most pressure right now, especially after choking week 1. But like it's interesting this quarterback class, how you assess it, because Drake May kind of quietly, they didn't look that great on offense week 1. You got the rematch on Sunday night between the Vikings and the Falcons. Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, they last met Washington, Michigan in the national championship game. Jane Daniels has obviously established himself as an elite quarterback. And it's funny with these second year quarterbacks, and Bo Nix is that last one. Like none of them really had good showings outside of JJ McCarthy for a quarter, Jane Daniels for the whole time, and Michael Penix. Basically, Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams all looked pretty bad in week 1. I'm curious how they respond going forward. Because
it almost felt like Drake May got found out a little bit. Like last year, he got such a pass. And it's like, oh, well, you see some special with Drake May. And it's not like the Patriots were winning last year, but they figured the offense around him is so bad that anything he does is going to look a little extra special. But Drake May week 1 against the Raiders defense that I'll admit is very, very good. One of the better pass rushes in football with Max Crosby on that team. Drake May looked a little bit lost. And I don't know what that looks like for him moving forward, but it feels like this year, maybe the first 6 weeks of this season are his chance to prove himself as a starting quarterback. And week 1 did not inspire
And
much.
It's also like, look at the quarterbacks that played well. JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
They are surrounded by talent at the receiver spot.
Even Debo looked good.
Debo looked good and he's got Terry McLaurin there. JJ McCarthy's got Justin Jefferson, obviously. Jordan Addison's coming back, and TJ Hawkinson there. Outside of Caleb is surrounded. Caleb has no excuses. I've been very high on Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has no excuses to not be great because of the amount of talent around him at quarterback. Drake May, the Patriots thinking that they're going to go hand Stephon Diggs a 3-year, $63 million contract at this point in his career. It seems crazy to me. It seems like they were just desperate to get a receiver because they haven't had a receiver for so long. And then look at Michael Penix. Michael Penix plays well. Look who he has around him. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, guys all over the Darnell Mooney's there. It feels like quarterbacks play. I mean, it seems obvious, but it's directly correlated with receivers and how they do. And it's interesting to me that some of these teams like the Patriots and even the Broncos, maybe they just re-signed Cortland Sutton. they draft these quarterbacks and it feels like they invest on the other side of the ball. You get a defensive head coach in Mike Vrabel, who I like a lot, but you don't invest in your quarterback by getting offensive line, getting receivers. It's kind of like they're like, there's a solid quarterback, and now let's just focus on everyone else. And now we're seeing second-year problems, at least just a week in.
Last one to know team I'll throw out there is the Arizona Cardinals. We needed them, so I'm not going to talk too much crap about them. They did pick up the win against the Saints.
I actually like them.
Okay, well, they were playing it. Look, Marvin Harrison Jr. looked really good. That's my biggest takeaway from that game. Kyler was sick coming into that one, and we found out what he was sick with. He had the poop scooting boogie.
Shout out to Kyler though for clutching up for us.
Somehow
Kyler Murray is loved here on the show.
Like his runs did seem like he was like tilted back a little bit. I wonder if he was trying to hold something.
He didn't want to have to change, you know.
But Kyler Murray and the Cardinals got it done week 1. But I just putting up 20 points up against the Saints, not dominating that game entirely, having that game still in question. Would worry me a little bit about the future of the Cardinals, but we'll see. Maybe the Saints are better than we all thought they were. I don't think they are, but maybe they are. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Long shots on the other side. Sammy Long's going to try to make us some money. Last night, Padres got us, man. Michael King went too long in that game. 1 out less, and it would have been a winner. We'll see what we got for long shots today. That's coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Right now, your chance to call for some Billy Idol and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts tickets. We got 2 of them for you. They're playing September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Caller number 7. You're going to the show. 877-767-4760. Hey, it's Fletch for Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use promo code Fletch, FLETCH. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Hey, you might be asking yourself, but Fletch, what do I do? What should my first $5 lineup be? No worries. Coming up in about 5 minutes, Sammy's going to give you a lineup for free that you can use as your first $5 lineup to get those $50 lineups in bonuses. And that way, no matter what, your first time's a winner. Am I right? Football is here. Every game matters. You don't want to miss a moment this season with Prize Picks. Your favorite players are ready to go. Your least favorite players are ready to go. So it's time for you to cash in on their stats. It's simple. Whether you think a guy's going to go off, whether you think a guy's going to ride the bench, you got action here in California on Prize Picks. They make it fun, quick, and easy. You can build your lineup in under a minute while you're sitting on the couch, leaning back on your recliner, getting ready for the game while you crack your first beer of your Sunday. Prize Picks is the best spot to get sports action here in California. Withdrawals all fast, safe, and secure. I've done this before where I've won on a Sunday night and I withdraw by Monday morning. That money is in my bank account. Join the millions of people who are already playing Prize Picks. Get a part of the billions of dollars already awarded. So download the app right now. Use promo code Fletch. Get that $50 bonus after you play your first $5 entry, which could be long shots, which is coming up next. Because on Prize Picks, it's good to be right. San Diego Sports 760, we congratulate all of our $5,000 winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher powered by Donors Choose. There's still time for you to nominate a public school teacher making a difference, and maybe they'll be one of our next winners of $5,000 to make over their classroom. Help us say thank you to the educators who are shaping our future. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. I don't think I'm allowed to ask for it, but if you put in a Mrs. Fletcher out in Lakeside, whatever happens, happens.
It's not for you, Fletch.
Right. It's for my wife in her classroom.
Shout out to when does the winning come down?
We've already given out a bunch of $5,000 checks, but I think there's still
shout out to iHeart for
still more
that.
to be given out. Shout out to Donors Choose and iHeartRadio.
Making it rain up in the
yeah, that's what we do.
Up in the high school.
Line up all the teachers and just go. God, we're going to jail. All right, it's San Diego Sports.
I should have played Hot for Teacher coming out of the break here.
You really should have on the free iHeartRadio app.
You gotta let me know when you do those reads, man.
Coming up in hour number 2. We do have a fantasy football expert joining the show who's going to tell you who to start, who to sit coming up in week 2. We got a couple questions on the text line, but get us some more. 70470. Start your message with team. That interview is going to be coming up at 1:30. All right, long shots is right now. Sammy, is your lineup close to being ready? If not, I got a story to tell.
Tell a quick little story.
Okay, quick little story. Yesterday, I felt like a real man for maybe the first time in my 29 years of life, because yesterday I realized that the front left blinker and headlight on my beautiful Toyota Tacoma was out, and I didn't really know what to do. And I've never done this type of thing before, but I went to AutoZone. I watched some YouTube videos. I went in there, got the light I needed, got the blinker I needed, and then right in my driveway, just popped the hood, got all dirty, got in there, had a little grease rag for my hands, and I did it all by myself. And I know that most people started working on cars when they were like 16 years old, but I didn't. And this was the first time I've really done something like that. And, I just had to watch a couple YouTube videos, but there's something weird about feeling like a man for the first time in your life. I feel like I grew chest hair for the first time, Sammy. Pretty proud of it. Do you ever get down and dirty? You little grease monkey ever?
I wish I was more manly like that.
Same, dude.
I'm not like I would be screwed. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I don't know how to change a tire. Like, I know I'd get cooked on the text line for that.
I haven't done it since I was like 16 years old when my grandpa showed me how. I don't know if I could do it today. It'd take me a while. I tell you that.
It's like, like my way of solving a tire is called AAA.
Same. I pulled a little card out of my pocket and say, "Hey, AAA."
The one time I was in a parking lot and this girl came up to me. She's like, "Hey, can you jumpstart my car?" And she was kind of attractive. I was like, "Yeah, give me a second." And I'm like under the hood trying to pretend like I know what's going on here. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
So here's the problem. I'm either going to electrocute myself, and then I realized I have a hybrid. I don't even have jumper cables. It was a whole situation.
It started for me like last week when my wife were moving into this place, and she's like, "Oh, I want to hang this here, but we're going to wait for my dad." And I'm like, "Oh, wait, I can do it." And she's like, "No, you can't." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I can do it. Like, I just need a screwdriver and an anchor and stuff." She's like, "No, you can't. We'll just wait for my dad." And that really hit me hard, Sammy. It's like she didn't look at me like I'm a man, that I can do stuff. And I absolutely,
her dad comes over, dude, and like, God,
butchered it right away. Like, there is a hole in the drywall now that's not going to get fixed until I buy the patching stuff. But it's weird, these moments in life. All right, Sammy, if you're ready for long shots, we are ready for you. Sammy's going to make us a little bit of money. So without further ado, let's smash it.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait, got it. It's time for Sammy's long shots.
All right, last night, while I don't think it was misguided, it was the right lineup to play. Michael King just was historic. He had like 35 pitches going into the 4th inning. So it was an incredible pitching performance. Really 2 bad pitches for Michael King.
At least we lost it because he was good.
Right. They didn't win, so it feels like kind of a waste, but Michael King screwed us up last night. Where are we going today, Sammy?
All right, I got a little 3-legger right here. It's all baseball today. Still tomorrow we will be heavy Thursday night football. So tune in. We've been pretty money on NFL picks so far in college football. And what are you laughing about over there?
It's too good not to read right now from the 615. Now I'm picturing Sammy as the fake mechanic Andy from The Office when he was trying to save Michael Scott from buying life insurance from the mobster. I'll take the gabagool.
That is 100% what happened.
If the sauce isn't on the side, I send it back. I take the gabagool.
That's
right.
by the way, on a side note, great Office episode that does not get talked about.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay, long shots. We're gonna start. Our buddy Tyler, who's been very money on picks, been sending me a couple lineups he's had with some 7-leg winners. So he has Blake Snell over on 7.5 pitcher strikeouts tonight. I do. I know he's kind of public enemy number one in San Diego, but I do think the Dodgers starting rotation has really figured something out. Blake Snell has been fantastic. I know. Seems like a little bit of a high number with 7.5, and he gets a lot of ground balls, but Blake Snell's really found his stuff recently. And it's kind of funny. The Dodgers over the last week have been kind of one-upping each other. Yoshinobu Yamamoto goes no-hitter into the ninth. The Dodgers completely blow that game. That's been well evidenced. And then you had Tyler Glasnow with a no-hitter going through 7 on Monday. Emmett Sheehan had a really good outing going into the 7th inning. Then he ended up giving up a hit and gave up a blue pit in the outfield. So kind of feels like some of these guys are playing a little competition with each other. I do think Snell has a big night. More than 7.5 pitcher strikeouts. All right, Yankees, Detroit. Fletch, I don't know if you saw this game last night. I happened to be text line. Detroit and the Yankees last night. This game was crazy. It was tied 2-2 in like the 5th inning, I believe. And then the Yankees brought in a reliever. They ended up giving up 9 runs. I swear in the span of like 5 actual minutes of time. They walked around the base pass. Disastrous outing for the New York Yankees. I think they have a little bit of get back tonight.
So it's like the last 5 minutes of Vikings Bears.
So exactly. It's like the last 5 minutes of Vikings Bears. Jack Flaherty, less than 6 pitches strikeouts, Yankees in Detroit. Jack Flaherty, former Dodger, has gone over there. Flaherty's a weird pitcher to kind of gauge. He's either fantastic or he's awful. There's not a lot of in between. I think the Yankees have a little bit of get back tonight. They're in a tough race in their division with the Red Sox right there and the Blue Jays. I think they need this one tonight with 2 weeks to go. Jack Flaherty has a tough outing in the Bronx, less than 6 pitcher strikeouts. Now let's head to the crosstown rivals. Go to Clay Holmes. Philadelphia and the Mets. Kind of a win out of necessity. The Mets need to win. They've lost 4 straight. The Phillies have won games 1 and 2 in this series. Clay Holmes, though, more than 4 pitcher strikeouts. I think the Phillies bats cool off a little bit tonight. They had 9 runs last night. I think the Mets bats actually heat up. So if you wanted to add something, Christopher Sanchez less than, that's on you. That's not a part of long shots. But I think Clay Holmes has had a quietly nice outing his last time out, had 6 pitcher strikeouts against the Detroit Tigers. Before that, he'd been hanging around 2, 4, 4, 4. So he's averaging 4 a lot. I think he's found a little bit of his stuff. Clay Holmes is kind of an underrated pitcher for the Mets. More than 4 pitcher strikeouts tonight for the New York Mets. So let me recap. Blake Snell.
Sammy, there might be one more you want to add.
What?
858 over under 1.5 hugs for the Padres tonight. The hug thing is taking over.
I think Jim Russell started that.
I really think he did, but it was just Mike Shilton and Fernando Tatis Jr. embracing for a solid 45 seconds.
You know, I'm going to go over because I think there's multiple ways we could get hugs. I think we could get consoling hugs if things don't go well tonight, or we could get Mike Shilton just, loving on his players. We know he loves his players.
The hand placement was interesting.
So it's a little,
I wouldn't hug Sammy like that.
Yeah, I would call HR a little bit if you hug me like that.
Good luck. Now I kind of want to hug you like that just to see what you'll do.
Oh no. Clay Holmes, more than 4 pitcher strikeouts. Jack Flaherty for the Detroit Tigers, less than 6 pitcher strikeouts. And Blake Snell for the Dodgers, more than 7.5. Let's get a W tonight, guys.
All right. Very good, Sammy. I like it a lot. I'm submitted. I'm locked in. I'm riding with you. Faith in Sammy, 2025, all those things. Squad ride W's, all the little fun things. Sammy
Squad ride W's that we all have to do every day.
Look, there's a huge story going on right now in the world. Not really one we're going to touch on here. Kogo is on it. Our feelings won't be hurt if you want to go see what's going on in the world. But if you want to have fun sports talk, this is your place for it. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. And we'll continue to do just that. We got a fantasy football expert coming up in hour number 2 at 1:30. You can hear all your start sit questions, a few of them piling up on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. Quick break. Hour number 2 next.
This report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Padres are going to look to win the series despite losing 4-2 last night to the Cincinnati Reds off a Robert Suarez bomb in the ninth inning. Nick Pivetta will be on the mound tonight for the Padres. They're currently minus 150 on the money line. That game will go going at 540. And fight week is here. Canelo Crawford getting going Saturday night. Canelo opened as a minus 175 favorite to retain all the belts at 168, with Crawford being plus 140. All the late money per Vegas sportsbooks is coming in on Crawford, though. Need HVAC this month? Get 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast and reliable.
It's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. If you ever want to watch the show, a couple ways for you to do it. On X at Fletch and Sammy, you can follow us there. We'll follow you back. And on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. Now, I was not aware of this until this exact moment in time, but I was just on X checking on the stream, making sure everything is working properly. And I happened to see a tweet pop up from somebody named at SKLong13. And somehow we haven't talked about this, even though Sammy and I talk pretty much every day at all hours of the day. You're starting a new YouTube channel?
I appreciate the mention. I started a boxing channel called The Long Count.
The Long Count.
Because
your last name is Long.
My last name is Long. The Long Count. I just got a video up there for Canelo Crawford. Going to be doing weekly videos, previewing all the biggest fights and kind of reacting to it. Anything big new in the boxing world. So if you are a fight fan, if you're a boxing fan, come check it out.
Look at how handsome he is. Wow. What's that background you got working with? Is that CGI or is that real?
No, it's just like a black screen I got from my uncle.
Look at you. This thing looks
I appreciate the shout out. If you're a fight fan or might talk some UFC as well, just come check it out.
I like this a lot, Sammy. I think you got a real future here. The Long Count.
The Long Count.
Subscribe. So while you're subscribed to San Diego Sports 760, just open up another tab and subscribe to The Long Count and you can watch Sammy talk about grown men in underwear punching each other.
My guy, I appreciate it.
That's cool, man. Good for you. I'm happy that's happening. You obviously are incredibly knowledgeable about the fight world. And this is going to be awesome. Happy for you, Sammy. And anything we can all do to help here, the biggest thing, go subscribe right now to The Long Count on YouTube. All right, it's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. We can get back into the Padres a little bit before we get to the big 3 of hour number 2. Where we start is from a text that we got during hour number 1 of the show. And it was right here, 619. Giants play the Dodgers 7 more times throughout the rest of the season, so the Giants are done. Now, however you think about the Giants and the Dodgers this year, I don't think that means the Giants are done. I really don't. The Giants are playing their best baseball of the year right now. Dodgers starting pitching is trending back upwards, but they haven't been playing great ball over the last month and a half. So you look at this, and this is a real opportunity for the San Francisco Giants if they play well against the Dodgers to work themselves into the postseason this year. What's interesting in San Diego is what should Padre fans be rooting for in these series between the Giants and the Dodgers? Because on one hand, you're thinking, oh, well, the Giants damaging the Dodgers helps you out getting to the number 1 seed in the NL West. But on the other hand, the Padres are playing pretty crappy right now, and the Giants are hunting them down as well as the Mets in terms of the National League wild card. So text line, I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer to this, but hit us up, 70470, start your message with team. Who are you rooting for in those 7 games between the Giants and the Dodgers? Because either way, there could be a lot of positives and a lot of negatives for the Padres. However, it's all positive for the Padres if the Giants are winning and the Padres are winning, but the Padres haven't been winning.
Right. I think if the Padres are winning, then you root for the Giants because you'd like to try to capture the division crown, 2 games back, but really 3 with the tiebreaker. If the Padres are losing and have kind of keep doing this thing where they win a game, they lose a game, they win a game, lose a game, then I think if the division gets a little bit farther out of reach, then you might actually root for the Dodgers to just bury them so they're done. Ideally for the Padres is the Padres just win and the Giants beat the Dodgers overall 7 games remaining. And then the Dodgers actually take care of the Phillies, who are next week. They play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because then if if the Padres are able to just keep winning, that number 2 spot seems kind of out of reach, but who knows? I mean, crazier things have happened. Maybe the Phillies fall off a map, and then it's so fun that we're at this time of the year with baseball, because the games just start to really feel like they matter.
Scoreboard watching is at an all-time high this time of year.
And then you got some fun series coming up for the Padres. I'm gonna pull it up here.
Yeah, Padres actually have some series they need to take advantage of. They got the Rockies next, then the Mets, which is crazy in New York, White Sox, Brewers, Diamondbacks, done. Dodgers, on the other hand, have one of the hardest schedules in all of baseball, it feels like, coming up, because they got the Giants next after one more against Colorado today in LA. Then they go to San Francisco, back home to Los Angeles to play against the Phillies, stay at home for the Giants for 4 games, in Arizona for 3, in Seattle for 3 to finish off their year. That is not an easy stretch of games by any stretch of the imagination. And so if you're the Padres, you look at both remaining schedules, you're like, oh, if we don't win the NL West, that's a problem.
Right. So the Padres, you just laid it out. Rockies, Mets will be tough. That'll be really interesting, because you're looking at the Mets have been flailing. You could possibly knock the Mets out of the playoffs. The Mets could possibly jump you. There's so much there. And then you look at the end of the schedule for the Padres. You got the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. Now, ideally for the Padres, the Brewers have locked up the number 1 seed. That's actually probably the best thing for the Padres. And
they probably will by then, right?
Right. I think they will. And then you're looking at that series might not be on paper. You see the Brewers might not be as tough as you think it is. Now the Diamondbacks.
The Brewers are 6 games up right now on the NL Central over the Cubs. So if they remain here by the time there's 6 games left, or even if they gain one more game, you would think maybe not the first game of that series, but by the second game of that series, they will have locked it up.
Right. And Milwaukee's 4 games up on Philly, which is the number 2 seed right now. So if the Padres, there's a lot coming at us. If the Phillies and the Dodgers kind of split the series next week, go 2-1, the Brewers probably lock this thing up. That's good for the Padres, because that series against the Brewers might not be tough. I expect the Snakes out there in AZ to be a pain in the ass, even though on paper the Padres should smoke them. That'll be kind of a get up for them at the end of the year.
But at least the Padres in final series of the season have such a good history of not getting problems had to each other. Matt Holliday. What? Didn't touch home plate. What? Yeah. So look, this is the fun time of year for baseball, Sammy. You said it absolutely right. Scoreboard watching all over the place. What we just counted, is that 6 different teams the Padres are worried about here over the next couple weeks?
And it's interesting of who do you want? This goes back to the question. I know we're going to move to the big 3, but who do you want to play? Because if the Padres,
I would rather have the Giants in the postseason than the Mets.
Yes, because the 6 is going to go play the 3, and the 5 is going to play the 4. If the Padres stay in the 5, all likelihood is they're going to Chicago, which is a good series. Wrigley's going to be going crazy. That's a tough home environment, just like it is at Petco. If you drop, there's a shot you can play the Dodgers. Some people might think that's actually easier playing the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers have more talent, because the Padres and Dodgers seem to always play each other super tough. There's just so many moving parts right now. There's a real case for any team in the NL to legitimately win the World Series.
It's going to be a fun couple of months, and it's funny because the Brewers almost get left off the conversation when you talk about who's going to end up winning the World Series if it is a team out of the National League. But the Brewers have the best record of all of Major League Baseball.
And they're like 4th, and it's funny because it goes Dodgers, Phillies, and then I believe the Astros. Something I'll find the thing on that. The Padres have been in the number 5 before. They dropped to 8 recently. Like, the Brewers aren't respected in Vegas at a level that you think they would based on their record.
Let's get to the big 3 of our number 2. Sammy, go ahead, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers. It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
Text us 70470. Start your message with team. If you have any start, sit questions for our fantasy football expert who's coming up at 1:30. Sammy, where are we going with hour 2?
All right, so take Jaden Daniels out of this.
Ooh.
Second-year quarterbacks. Go through them. Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, and Drake May. If you had to start a team today, who are you taking of those 5?
No Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is out because everyone would take him.
I mean, there's a real argument to be made for Michael Penix because of upside with Michael Penix and athleticism. However, the injury history going all the way back to college would give me pause on that. Bo Nix had a rough start. Recency bias absolutely plays in here, but from what we've seen of him last year and the head coach that he's tied to, you feel pretty good about him. I've turned the corner on Drake May to where I'm almost out on him. Now, it'd be nice to see him if he had weapons all over the place, and he really doesn't. Caleb Williams, I just don't trust, unfortunately. and maybe he proves me wrong this year. I'm actually kind of rooting for him to prove me wrong this year because I think he has all the talent in the world. I'm going to take Michael Penix and assume health.
Okay. I like Michael Penix. He won the most, really, of all. Actually, J.J. McCarthy won a national championship game, but Penix got to the championship game, was really good at Indiana.
I really like Michael Penix.
Yeah, and he was fantastic. People forgot him at Indiana. He almost took them in. I believe it was C.J. Stroud's first year at Ohio State. He almost went in there and won week 1 in the college football opener, and then he went to Washington and won.
Him at UW was a highlight reel.
He was fantastic. It's tough because part of me wants to go with my guy Caleb, but from what I've seen so far, he has the highest upside. It's too early with McCarthy. He's had 1 quarter of good play. I don't know that we can put him. Yeah, I'd go Penix or Caleb because
I think I'm there too.
Penix has probably
JJ has the handsome factor though. Caleb does too. That's a real thing with quarterbacks, man. I don't know what you want me to say.
Colin Cowherd take? Yeah, that's a great Colin Cowherd take.
But it is a real thing with quarterbacks. Look through history. Name a bad looking.
You never see like an ugly quarterback.
Bad looking all-time great quarterback. I mean, is Peyton Manning just because he has a 5 head? He's not a bad looking guy though.
We gotta get Cat Fisher in here and rank quarterbacks on
get a top 10 list from someone of all-time quarterbacks.
Every girl loves Jalen Hurts. That's like their dream.
I mean, if it was true, Sam Bradford, that Notre Dame quarterback, would be one of the best starters in the NFL right now. He's rotting away on a depth chart somewhere.
I would still go Caleb because of this. Just because I think the upside is there. I know it's frustrating. He evades the pocket. He seems to get jittery in there. But we did just see him 1 game with the new head coach. He dealt with a defensive-minded head coach and Matt Eberflus for all of last season. I got to see a few weeks. There's a lot of pressure on Caleb. Caleb's got the most pressure of any of these quarterbacks, but I do think the upside with Caleb is there above Bo Nix or a Drake May or someone. But Michael Penix would be interesting as well. He looks very good in week 1. Let's head to college football. So kind of been some back and forth this week in the middle of the season. The SEC coaches have expressed support for the move of college football's transfer portal window from December to January, arguing it's the best option even if it conflicts with the college football playoff schedule. Ohio State coach Ryan Day has been not a fan of this. He thinks it's wrong to open the transfer portal window on January 2nd. He says it's hard to build a team while you're still playing in the college football playoff. And then Brian Kelly responded with, it's tough living on a yacht, and basically kind of went back at Ryan Day. What are your thoughts about this?
Look, I think it needs to be middle of January. I think all bowl games, or when's the college football playoff end? Is it middle of January or end?
Always January 14th.
Right, I think that's right. So middle of January, I think right after the final college football game ends, the next morning needs to be the opening of the transfer window. I think it's ridiculous that you can do business beforehand because either A, you have a situation where teams aren't going to bowl games like we had last year in San Diego with Washington State essentially having an entire turnover before they got here to San Diego to play their bowl game. Or B, you have a situation where teams are still playing in the college football playoff while other teams in their conference are getting the jump on it. And do you really want to split your coaching staff? Do you want to split your scouting staff into half, essentially? One getting ready for the team, one still on the recruiting trail? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I think there is an unfair advantage bit to it, where teams who are playing later in the college football season, which is what you want, are getting left behind teams who got knocked out earlier. I could see the argument for it either way, but I would lean heavily towards opening up the transfer window day 1 after the college football season's officially over.
Totally. I'm with you and Ryan Day on this. It should be the morning after. It's ridiculous that teams are getting benefited from not making the college football playoff. Look at last year. Penn State had its backup quarterback behind Drew Aller, got a big contract or big NIL deal to go to Missouri. He's a starting quarterback at Missouri right now. If Drew Aller had gotten hurt in one of these playoff games, they would have had to turn to a true freshman who had never played a snap of college football. And I don't blame the guy because Missouri's like, wait, we're not paying you all this money so you can go get hurt in the national championship game, and we already signed the contract. Of course we don't want you to play. And James Franklin defended the kid because the kid was getting crushed on radio and up there in Penn State, and he's like, he was bawling in my office that he couldn't play in this game. He was like, his family is like, he's like, you got to do what's best for you. He's like, it was devastating that he couldn't play. It's a shame that this happened. This happened in college basketball. Michigan, when they went on a little run, it wasn't Trey Donaldson, but it was one of the other guards, entered the transfer portal while they were still in the Sweet 16. They were playing a game the next day. That's insane that this is happening. You should not get a benefit from being knocked out early. I think that's a shame. And it's like, honestly, the way it's set up now, the worst thing you can do is go to the national championship and lose.
Yeah.
Because you're out on all the other recruits, and then you just lost the national championship game. it feels like a massive mistake.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Coming up on the other side, let's get into some of the NFL Week 2 action, some games that we have circled moving forward, and some players who have a lot to prove here in Week 2. And then we got our fantasy football expert joining at 1:30. Hit that text line, 70470. Start your message with team. One more take on the Padres from last night as well before we get going. San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Gary Cooper, Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Give Gary Cooper a call today, 858-376-1299. I'm going to repeat that number because we got good news, 858-376-1299. Gary Cooper, tell the people the good news.
Hey, Friday was a big day. The benchmark for long-term interest rates, the 10-year bond, took a pretty significant drop. The current 10-year bond as of Monday at 11 o'clock is at 4.06, and last Thursday it was in the 4 teens approximately. So what does that mean to you? Long-term interest rates have come down quite a bit. The national average is about 6.3. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. If you were looking to purchase a home and it was $1 million home, you put 20% down, which is 80% loan to value, and your credit scores are 780 or greater, then the actual 30-year fix at market rate par is at 6.359. APR is about 6.45, and that would be on a 30-year fix. Now, if your credit scores are lower or if you're not putting as much down, yes, that'll affect your rate, that'll affect your pricing. But if you're hearing rates that are below that, trust me, it's smoke and mirrors and shell games I always talk about. You're paying points to buy down to get that gimmick or advertised rate.
Give Gary Cooper a call today, 858-376-1299, or visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. Gary's got good news. Take advantage of it. San Diego FC back on the pitch Saturday night. They got Minnesota United at Snapdragon Stadium. You can hear the match live Saturday night starting at 7 o'clock right here on San Diego Sports 760, your home for SDFC. They've had a little bit of time off here. I think it's been about 2 weeks since they've played, or it will be by the time they take the pitch on Saturday night. But they got some work to do here before the end of the season, already locked into the postseason, but wanted to make sure they are the top seed, which is absolutely within reach. So pretty cool to see in their inaugural season, SDFC dominating the field like they have been so far.
We might have to be live from the playoff game, man.
I would not hate that. That'd be fun as hell, man. You kidding me? We could play those vuvuzelas.
Yeah, dude. We get Adrian Garcia Marquez to get us an open. Just do it himself.
I think vuvuzelas might have been banned from the MLS. I'm not positive on that.
Was it?
We didn't see him when we were at that one match, right?
I want one of those smoke bombs they light off in the fan section.
Those are cool. Those are very cool. You just open up the top and the blue starts going.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I always have wonder how they the fans get those in there, but kudos to them, man.
Yeah, it's cool. Soccer fans are nuts, man. The supporter section at SDFC games, it's a party. It's crazy. Shirtless dudes just going nuts. It's fun. Sammy, what's your YouTube channel?
Oh, the long count.
The long count.
The long count. It's up on my Twitter at SKLong13. Link to the first video.
So is the first video all Crawford Canelo?
Yes, and a little bit about Dana White kind of getting into boxing, all that kind of stuff.
This is going to be a fun little weekend of boxing, man. Boxing Saturday night, NFL all day Sunday, college football all day Saturday. This is going to be a fun weekend of sports, and hopefully the Padres make it fun and palatable for us San Diego fans. But this Crawford Canelo fight, the more drama and juice that's leading up to it, I feel like the better. And I will say, maybe it's just the circles I run in, but I haven't seen nearly as much promotion this week as I did 2 weeks ago for it. Is that because they already expect to have this captive audience ready to go, or have they backed off the gas a little bit?
I think the ramp up's going to be they got the presser, the weigh-ins Friday. They got the presser tomorrow night, so that'll probably be when the ramp up starts. But yeah, this is just a fun fight. I'm super stoked for this one. It's, boxing has not given us the matchups we've seen for so many years. And when they have happened, they've been too late. These are two guys in their primes, Canelo and Crawford. And is
there a betting line on it yet?
Yeah. So Canelo opened as -175 because he's the bigger man. He's naturally 168 pounds. He's even fought at 175 before he knocked out Kovalev and lost to Dimitri Bivol there. Crawford's coming all the way up. He blasted Spence at 147. His last fight was at 154 against Israel Madrimov, who he won. Now he's coming up to 168, so he is a plus 140 dog. Canelo's -175, but apparently per all the books, all the late money this week is going to come in on Crawford. So I bet around fight time this gets a plus 120 Crawford.
It's going to be fun, man. All right, we got our fantasy football expert coming up next. So if you have any waiver wire questions, start sit questions, get them in on the text line. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible coming up next. So 70470, start your message with team. One last thought on the Padres before we get to some fantasy football talk. Tonight feels like a massively important game. 5:40 first pitch. I'm glad it's not one of those 110 days, because this needs to feel like a playoff atmosphere at Petco Park. Because quite literally it is at this point. The Padres are working to position themselves for the postseason. The Padres, outside of the Mets series and maybe the Diamondback series, who are going to be out for some blood at the end of the season, have one of the easier schedules left in Major League Baseball. What can you do right now chasing a Dodgers team for the NL West pennant, who has a very tough schedule remaining? Still have the Phillies, still have the Giants 7 times. What can you do right now to get in first place in the NL West by the end of the year? Because, man, that's going to feel important come postseason time. So the Padres tonight, Nick Pavetta's on the mound. Am I right about that?
Yeah, Pavetta's on the mound.
Pavetta's on the mound. Tonight has to be a win for the Padres, who kind of gave one away yesterday.
Well, and think about how we'll feel tomorrow morning versus whether they win or lose. If they win, we're looking there. They go, you beat Colorado in a series, but that's expected. That's great, and I'm glad they did. But then you would have won a series against a legit team. The Reds aren't, world beaters, but they are a solid team. They've been making a little bit of push here for the playoffs. A lot of young talent, Gavin Lux, Ellie De La Cruz. It's a solid team. If you lose this game tonight, then we're back talking tomorrow about how this only series win in the last few weeks has been to the Colorado Rockies and in Petco. And then you could bury the Reds tonight. The Reds are 3 games back of the Mets. Probably tough for them to get in, but this is going to be a playoff game for them. So that's what I'm looking for, is energy. The Reds are treating this probably like a do or die game tonight, almost like a wild card. the Padres need to treat it as such because they could move up in the standings. They could move down. There's a possibility they could fall out, even though I don't think that will happen. They really got to treat this game tonight like it's a massive one, and you really got to see the bats come through. It can't just be on the bullpen to come in and save the day every night with a 1-run lead.
Stan Lazinski, he owns dynastypricecheck.com. He is our fantasy football expert. He's going to be joining the show coming up next. Get your questions in 70470. Start your message with team. That's next on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Padres back tonight looking to win the series against the Cincinnati Reds. Nick Pivetta will be on the mound. They're currently a -150 favorite in this one, and the game will be going at 5:40. In Thursday Night Football, Week 2, Commanders in Green Bay taking on the Packers. Green Bay is currently a 3.5-point favorite with the point total set at 48.5. Need HVAC this month? Get 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast and reliable.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then, and we like to keep you informed on this show, which is why we're going straight to the top. This man's whole career is fantasy football. He started the company this past offseason. His name is Stan Lazinski, dynastypricecheck.com, Dynasty Price Check on YouTube and TikTok. He's on TikTok live all the time. Stan Lazinski, welcome to the show, brother. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you. How are you, man?
Doing great. Thanks, Ben and Sam. I can't wait to be on the show, talk some ball with you guys, and hopefully help your listeners win a bunch of leagues this year.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So we're leaving week 1, rounding the corner into week 2 now. Before we get to some of the text line questions, and by the way, 70470, start your message with team if you have any questions for Stan. Before we get to any of those questions, Stan, week 1 superstar for you, who kind of came out of the woodworks and all of a sudden is extremely fantasy football relevant here in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be remiss to not say Justin Fields. Not a guy I was expecting to really look as good as he did, but the 2 rushing touchdowns, obviously, with his usage there, really inflated his value. It looks like he's going to be a guy that you can probably rely on at the quarterback position, at least for the next several weeks with matchups and rushing upsides upcoming. So that's a guy that wasn't on my radar so much going into the season that now is seeming like a steal.
Who did you think was being a little bit overdrafted heading into the season and kind of proved you right after week 1?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the real question was who was being underdrafted, and that was Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman was one of those guys that you were able to pick up, in the 9th or 10th round of your fantasy football drafts this year. And he's come out off a back injury last year with Daniel Jones at quarterback also being a surprise there. And it looks like he's the legit wide receiver 1 on an ascending offense in Indianapolis.
DynastyPriceCheck.com is where you find him. Stan Lazinski joining us, fantasy football expert. From the 615, Stan, a start and sit question. I don't trust Cortland Sutton against this tough Indy pass defense this week, but do I replace him with Deebo Samuel or Ricky Pearsall? I guess it's hard to decide on Pearsall before we know Purdy's status, though. Any advice for the 615?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand the reservations on Cortland Sutton. For me, I normally like to trust the talent level and go with him. But after watching Deebo Samuel's usage this last week, I do actually expect him to be a wide receiver 2 or flex-worthy play this week. So I think the safe play is to play Deebo Samuel there.
A question from the 858. Can I move off Kenneth Walker since I have ETN? Looking to package Kenneth Walker with Jacoby Myers to improve wide receiver depth. I have Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jacoby Myers, Matthew Golden, and Rashid Shaheed right now.
I think 2 things on Kenneth Walker. One thing, guys, is it's important to remember that week 1 scoring compared to their season-long performance has about a 19.8% hit rate. As your math teacher would say, highly improbable to take 1 week and forecast it across an entire season. So I'm not panicking on Kenneth Walker yet, and I don't recommend necessarily moving off of him. I still think he has a lot of big play upside, and when the game came to crunch time last week, Kenneth Walker outsnapped Zach Charbonnet 5-1. So I think he's still the main guy in Seattle. Additionally, I would not be moving off Jacoby Myers. I think Jacoby Myers showed hyper efficiency, catching 8 passes on 10 targets for almost 100 yards. Instead, if I were to be looking to move off a guy on that roster that you mentioned there, it would be Devonta Smith, as the Eagles' passing usage doesn't look like it's going to be very active this year, and they're going to continue to run the ball. That would be more of my suggestion rather than moving off the 2 guys in question.
Now, we had like 3 or 4 texts, Stan, all about Kenneth Walker. So let's stick with him for a second, because you just said you think Kenneth Walker is going to outsnap Zach Charbonnet 5-1 next week. I mean, the eyeball test would tell you Charbonnet looked better in week 1. So you think that's just a week 1 thing, and moving forward, Kenneth Walker is still the guy?
Well, absolutely. Let's talk about the Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, and deep dive here, because I have a lot to say on it. I don't necessarily think he's going to outsnap him 5-1. I was just referencing the fact that during crunch time of the game in the 4th quarter, Kenneth Walker did get 5 carries to Zach Charbonnet's 1, showing that when the game was on the line, they trusted Walker to get the deal done. I think we also got to remember that Kenneth Walker was nursing an injury towards the end of training camp, and this could have been a little bit of an easing him back in here. Let's also remember that Kenneth Walker is the #1 avoided tackler of the decade by statistics. And I think to just cast him out after 1 performance would be a little bit dismissive. However, Charbonnet played a lot more snaps at 29 to Kenneth Walker's only 20. However, it's important to remember that out of those 29 snaps that Charbonnet played, he got 12 touches while Kenneth Walker got 13 touches. That would show you that when they're both on the field, it's way more likely that when Ken Walker's on the field, they're actually looking to give him the ball, versus Zach Charbonnet sometimes is more of a disguise play. I do still believe that Kenneth Walker is the guy going forward there, and I will only start to get more worried about this come midseason if Zach Charbonnet still looks more efficient in the run game, which I'm not necessarily discounting. He's a very talented back with 2nd-round draft capital, but I'm not giving up on Kenneth Walker today.
I know you mentioned that Philly pass offense, AJ Brown only 1 target last week. Is there a player that you prefer there, AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, or would you look to trade him once they have a solid week?
Yeah, I think the issue with AJ Brown that would show you over time is his boom bust rate. I mean, even last season, he only averaged 7 targets per game, showing you that he is one of the most efficient receivers on that usage. It's rare to see a guy finish in the top 15 wide receiver rankings on a consistent basis while only getting an average of 7 targets. You normally require a lot more in a PPR format. So, of course, I'm going to still prefer A.J. Brown. He is the guy there. Devonta Smith is the guy that I'm panicking a lot more on in that offense. But again, as I mentioned at the beginning, only about 20% correlation for week 1 performance to be cast across the season. I would say highly improbable. I'm not going to entirely panic and shut down on the Eagles offense altogether. They did win the Super Bowl last year. Let's not have too short of a memory.
Over the Kansas City Chiefs, by the way, Sammy's favorite team. Stan Lazinski joining us today. DynastyPriceCheck.com is where you find him. Dynasty Price Check on YouTube and TikTok as well. From the 858, a text we got in one of my leagues, I got a Purdy Kittle stack. Also have Andrews at tight end. But for this week, should I start Rattler over Purdy, assuming health? Because Brock Purdy sucks without Daddy Kittle.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm just getting alerts and even saw Ian Rappaport put out right before we hopped on here that Brock Purdy is most likely now on track to miss a couple of weeks with the toe and shoulder injury. Unfortunately, if that is the case, you're absolutely not playing Purdy and you are going to be forced to start Spencer Rattler. In general, I would obviously prefer Purdy over Rattler, even without Kittle. I do believe in his talent profile. But all things considered, I do believe you're going to be stuck with Rattler, unfortunately.
It's from the 619. So should I hold on to Caleb Johnson or pick up another running back on waivers? What do you think about Caleb Johnson moving forward?
Yeah, I think Caleb Johnson is going to be a patience pick. Unfortunately, whether I believe it or not, the Steelers genuinely believe they're in win now mode. Making the offseason moves they did, signing Aaron Rodgers, trading for DK Metcalf, acquiring Jalen Ramsey, trading for Jonnu Smith. All these things signify a team that's looking to win now. Teams that are looking to win now don't necessarily feel the pressure to involve a rookie right out of the gate. Obviously, he wasn't utilized very much in this backfield, and I was actually quite surprised to see Kenneth Gainwell be more relevant than I had expected from my offseason analysis. However, I think that if you are able to hold on to Caleb Johnson on a deeper roster, you might get your rewards come week 11 or 12 deep into the season. However, if you're worried now about immediate performance, he is one of those guys that I am comfortable dropping in a redraft format.
Stan Lazinski, DynastyPriceCheck.com is where you find him. Stan, that Cleveland running back room is one that's been hotly talked about in all sorts of fantasy football forums. Sampson looked incredible week 1. Jerome Ford didn't look incredible week 1. And now we got news that Judkins might be coming back. Where are you going with that room? Is Sampson still a must start in your lineup after a week 1 performance like that? Or is Judkins coming back going to take away some of his production?
Yeah, this is a very interesting one for me, guys, because I think these are the week 1 flash in the pans that really start to fool people, right? Well, I do like Dylan Sampson and his prospect profile that we saw coming out of college. He got an insane amount of passing game work last week, and these were not necessarily designed passes, right? They weren't screens in the flat. They weren't designed in the coach's mind. Some of them were dump-off passes. 8 catches. Fantastic. But that's peak Alvin Kamara level worth of production. Now, I don't see that continuing on a season-long basis. And in fact, like you mentioned there, with both Quinshon Judkins primed to return as the far more talented back and Jerome Ford still in that backfield, I would say that Dylan Sampson is a flex play only in extremely deep formats. I would not be relying on him as my fantasy starter until I see a lot more. If he is able to retain that passing game usage come week 3 or 4, and I've been able to see consistent production from the man, that's when I'll decide to rework my thought process and give you my go ahead on an RB2 usage for the season.
So we just saw the Purdy news. Had that Rattler question. What's a quarterback you think this week that could be a little bit down the 10 to 20 range you think might pop and be a good play this week?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for guys that are potentially on your waiver wire coming off a bad week, I think you're going to look towards, the Bo Nixes of the world. Some people were very reactionary this week and decided to drop Bo Nix altogether. I think additionally, although it is a tough matchup for the Seattle Seahawks against the Steelers this week, That Steelers defense gave up a lot of points to the New York Jets. While I was just talking about Justin Fields' usage, I don't know if that Steelers defense is actually going to be as good as people expect it to be, giving up almost 30 points to the New York Jets, not necessarily the most efficient of offenses. Therefore, if he's on your waiver wire and you're struggling because of injury, I think Sam Darnold is a pickup that could potentially get you through the week at a 15 to 17 point performance against this Steelers defense.
All right, well, Stan, we'll get you out of here soon, but a couple more questions. First of all, is there a waiver wire pickup that maybe you're thinking about that nobody else is thinking about? You could still sneak in before week 2?
Absolutely. I think my deepest waiver wire pickup this week that's not getting enough attention is Juju Smith-Schuster for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think everyone is looking the direction of Hollywood Brown after his 16 targets and 10 receptions last week. And I don't deny that that was encouraging. But at the same time, Juju has just as much opportunity, finishing at 10.5 fantasy points last week. And I believe that this is going to be one of those headache kind of wide receiver rooms for the moment, where it could be Hollywood, it could be Juju. If he's sitting out on your waiver wire, just like he was for me a lot this week, I picked him up and am going to be flexing him in some of those leagues that I have a lot of injuries. So I think that your odds are good to take a swing on a Kansas City wide receiver that is probably not being spent as much FOB on as Hollywood Brown.
Stan Lazinski, dynastypricecheck.com. One more before we get you out of here, Stan. Commanders, Packers tomorrow night. We do a little segment on this show called Long Shots, where we try to create some daily fantasy lineups. Not asking you about any lines or anything or player props, but who do you think is going to pop tomorrow night between the Commanders and the Packers? That's a must-start fantasy option.
I'm glad you asked. I got 4 major takeaways for that game, and I'll rattle through them as quick as I can. We got Tucker Kraft last week that ran 86% of routes and led the team for Green Bay. I like his upside. I think for a starting tight end, you should absolutely be picking him up if he's on the waiver wire or if he's sitting on your bench. You need to be starting him this week. Josh Jacobs is a guy that gives me a little bit of worry, as last week, the Washington Commanders allowed the least amount of rushing yards in week 1. Yes, that it was against the Giants, but you still got to pay attention to the trends. And so Josh Jacobs might be a little bit on the bubble. However, I still recommend starting him, as he is one of the main guys in fantasy. Finally, on top of that, I think the Packers defense gave up 14 receptions to opposing running backs in week 1. So my absolute must start of the week for this game in a flex position is Austin Eckler. He is the guy on the Washington Commanders that is going to get those targets out of the backfield, and that Packers defense gave up 14 receptions last week. Finally, Jaden Reed still looks to be the guy in this game, although I didn't see Matthew Golden get involved to the degree I expect. I think they'll both get looks. However, I would trust Jaden Reed or Golden in week 2 going into this matchup. I hope that helps you guys a lot for tomorrow night's game, and let's win some championships all together this season.
Yes, sir.
Stan, you are the man. Stan Lazinski, you can find him on TikTok and YouTube, dynastypricecheck.com. Dynasty Price Check is the username. When are you going live next, Stan?
I go live every single evening at 5:30 p.m. and again at 8:30 p.m. So if you guys have fantasy questions, come through to my TikTok, hop in my live stream, ask me whatever you need. I am happy to help you guys win as many championships as you can this season.
And the cool part about Stan, clothing optional.
Exactly.
All right, brother. You have a great day, man. We'll talk to you soon. I'm positive of it. Dynasty Price Check on TikTok and YouTube, dynastypricecheck.com. Check him out, Stan Lazinski. I really feel like Sammy and I might have caught one right before he takes off. Like, he is on his way up in this world. His only job right now is fantasy football. Appreciate Stan jumping on. We'll talk to him soon. Now, the text line is absolutely flinging some arrows my way.
The text line is,
you guys are ruthless. I'm in pain over here. I'm trying to put on a brave face. But we'll read those texts coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Download the Prize Picks app today. You're going to want to use promo code Fletch when you do, FLETCH. That's going to get you $50 in bonus lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you're looking for a $5 lineup, we got one for you right now. For tonight's action in baseball, we have Clay Holmes, pitcher for the Mets, at more than 4.5 pitcher strikeouts. Jack Flaherty, less than 6 pitcher strikeouts. And Blake Snell, more than 7.5 pitcher strikeouts. That could be your first $5 lineup. Just by submitting that, you are going to get $50 in bonus funds. Football is here now. Prize Picks makes every game matter to you. You don't want to miss a second this season, and you don't want to miss out on any of the action. Well, in California, you don't have very many options to get action. On Prize Picks, you get all the action. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. They make it fun, quick, and easy. I can build my lineup in under a minute while I'm settling in on the couch, getting ready for my kickoff. Chips and salsa everywhere. Prize Picks, the best spot to get action here in California. Withdrawals all fast, safe, and secure with Venmo, Apple Pay, and more. Join the millions of people already playing and get part of the billions of dollars already awarded in winnings. Just don't put Brock Purdy on your lineup this week, because I guess that's not happening. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code Fletch, because on Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Ow! Remember last week when we were getting ready for Thursday night football, I talked about how much of a hold football has over people and how it can like literally make us physically ill at times, and it can give us the most joy you've ever had. Like Sammy on Friday came into work and he said, I'm literally feeling nauseous because I'm nervous for tonight. This is what it does to us, man. And now the text line is just jumping in and throwing jabs at somebody who's already dead inside. Because there's news that's come out that Brock Purdy isn't probably going to be playing this weekend. 949, Fletch in shambles, Purdy out and Kittle out. Just rest CMC at this point and call it a season. A 1-0 team calling it a season. Sure. 858. Love the inside info from Stan. Sorry, Fletch. 1-0 is going to be 1-16 by January. Get that Manning kid. Purdy needs a veteran to learn
Arch. You can give that contract went to Purdy to Arch.
Oh my God. 858. So yeah, I guess Rattler is a better option than Purdy this weekend.
Can I just say something?
Jesus, man.
I've been in radio about a year. And the text
He's
line,
a vet.
The text line is my favorite part because everyone gets it. I'll get crushed. Fletch will get crushed. Anyone will get crushed. And it is my favorite part of the day, what the text line has to say.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. But we love you, text line. Stay here forever. We absolutely love everything that you say all the time, every day. It's the best. We absolutely love it.
But so real quick though.
You're my friend when I don't have any friends.
On a serious note, we were looking at picking.
He's not confirmed out, is he? There's no report that I'm
per Kyle Shanahan, he's a long shot to play.
Yeah, Brock's a tough dude. He'll play.
So that was going to be our Circus Survivor pick.
I know.
For those who don't know, we've been talking about it for the last couple. We've been talking about it for months. Basically, you have to pick one team each week. You just need them to win. We picked the Cardinals last week, so they won. Got through week one. I don't know. I don't know where we go.
Maybe the Cowboys. I don't know. But think about this.
We're putting faith in the Cowboys.
Bro, we're about to get Mac Jones versus Spencer Rattler.
Oh, sexy.
Talking about like the worst quarterback matchup of the year. Do you remember a few years ago when we had just backups starting all across the football league? It was one of the worst seasons of football. Yeah. Mac Jones, Spencer Rattler. That's what we all signed up for. Bring it on. We're talking about two teams who in recent history could have been starting not Joe. Excuse me. I'm all frazzled right now. Could have been starting like Drew Brees versus Alex Smith, Vernon Davis versus
Jimmy
Michael
Graham.
Thomas. That could have been teams that have been playing within recent history.
This is going to be a live looking at Fletch on Sunday.
Yeah, lots of it. What's that from?
Kingpin.
That's right.
He's like, what have you been doing all these years? He's like, I had the thing and. No. Doing a lot of drinking.
I'm sick. 949. Love you, Fletch. Time to become a Raiders fan. I'm not just.
I don't know if the Raiders are that much better.
No, dude. It's like you got Ashton JT and Brock Bowers who has a bum knee now. Good luck, Raiders. God, now I'm just going to start flinging them back at you. But I do actually like the Raiders. In fact, Sammy Long, we do have some breaking news to announce.
What is our breaking news?
Starting tomorrow at 12:30.
Oh, I'm excited about this.
Mike Costa will make his triumphant return as our official Raiders insider for the remainder of this NFL season.
I'm very excited. I haven't talked to Costa in a few years, so I'm very excited to hear from the legend himself.
Costa works a couple of Raiders games a year on the sideline for Westwood One. Mike Costa is going to be joining us. It sounds like every Thursday at 12:30. To talk some Raiders.
We talk about this. We have to surprise him with Steve.
Yeah, well, you just said it on air. So how's that surprise going to work now? Costa listens to us driving around, dude. Way to go, Sammy.
Costa,
God.
I hope you're not listening right now.
It's like Sammy's best idea he's had in the last year we've been working together is like, oh, dude, when we get both of them, it'll be so great. Have a loose cannons reunion.
Dude, you forget when you're on this mic that it's just Fletch and I that people are listening. By the way,
I'm going to spoil it before we ever get to it.
Shout out to the stream. 1.3K today means a lot. Everyone tuning in. We love each and every one of you.
Couple of homework assignments for you, Sammy. What's the name of your YouTube channel one more time?
The Long Count. You can find it on my Twitter at SKLong13. Got a preview up for Canelo Crawford this weekend.
And then I really do feel like we kind of caught the tail of a dragon here. Stan Lazinski is on his way up in the fantasy football world.
He was fantastic.
We caught him when he's young. He's ripe. He's brand new to the game. Find him at dynastypricecheck.com or on TikTok. He goes live every night at Dynasty Price Check. You can find him there. Tons of information. We're out of here. John and Jim are next. We'll see you tomorrow. Previewing a Thursday night football game, reacting to the Padres game. That's it for us. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.